I'll give Jeff like 2 more minutes to respond. See what he says. He's typing. Oh, he stopped typing. Me and Pat are going to play Rivals. It's worse than a sad boy excuse.
Sell out.
You're the worst, Jeffrey. Hello, welcome back to Showboys. We're here, Arcane Season 2, the season finale. Got a lot to talk about. This episode was chock full of stuff and things, so we have to talk about those stuff and things. But before we do, just want to say thank you for being here. Shout out to our top tier patrons, Tim B, SfH, Joe C, all of our other patrons. You guys are amazing. Thank you for your support. If you're wondering what Patreon is or how you could financially support us, the easiest way probably would be to go to patreon.com/showboyspodcast and sign up for a monthly subscription, essentially, to Showboys. There are different tiers that are all different price points, and they each come with their own set of perks and benefits, such as Patreon exclusive episodes every month, uncut early access to every episode that we put out, and other things. Go check it out, patreon.com/showboyspodcast. It is the finale, Nick. So you know what that means. We have to give away the Steelbook Jinx and Vi editions of Season 1, the Blu-ray and 4K Steelbook DVDs. We will be giving these away. To have entered, you would have had to have subscribed and left a comment for an entry so we know you subscribed. And we will be choosing the winner of the Jinx and Vi Steelbook edition. Let's do one winner per. So we'll have 2 winners. One will win the Jinx, one will win the Vi. And yeah, you ready to make this announcement, Nick?
Let's do it.
All right. Hello, here to announce the winners of the Arcane Season 1 Steelbook giveaway. We're giving away the Jinx and the Vi Steelbooks, of course, as you've heard all season long. And here are the winners. The Eclipse Kid and B Ailman 8401. Congratulations. You guys have won the Steelbook giveaway. We will do the choosing first come, first serve. So email us at showboyspodcast@gmail.com with your contact information. And if you want the Jinx Survive, first come, first serve. Whoever emails first gets first choice. And then we'll get those right out to you. Thank you so much for entering the giveaway, and hope you enjoy the Steelbooks. All right, back to the episode. Congratulations. Enjoy the Steelbooks. They're awesome. Great for any collector. But we got an episode breakdown, so let's get into it. Episode 9, The Dirt Under Your Nails. Venom's blocking the title so rudely, but I'm pretty sure it's The Dirt Under Your Nails. Yep, there you go. And under Venom. But yeah, finale, guys. What'd you think? I know, Venom, I'm sure you've been waiting for a while to talk about this.
I have, definitely.
What'd you think? Your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts were, what the hell is this crap? My thoughts after rewatching it has grown on me a little bit. So I am glad I did a rewatch before we did this episode, because otherwise I would have been very negative about all of this. Because
had some time to let it simmer.
The continuing saga of the people that don't want to be Marvel doing the same exact story of Marvel with the one path, all futures kind of thing. That was of all the ways they could have gone, that was a letdown. But as my little title underneath my name says, I did enjoy the ride to get there. And this episode as a whole, knowing what's coming, the first time watching it, all I wanted to know is where are we going with this? And I wasn't really paying attention to what was happening in the episode.
Fair.
Knowing what was coming, knowing it was going to be a letdown, I focused a lot more on what's going on in this episode. And overall, they did an excellent job, I think, on the episode.
Nice. Nick, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, my first time through, I think much like the initial Marvel of the series, like with season 1.
Not like Marvel MC.
Yeah, not
your
like that Marvel. No.
of the series.
Yeah, sure. But it's a visual spectacular, right? So if you just kind of let the visuals and like what's kind of happening between the characters, not necessarily the context of what the characters are doing, but like just how they're interacting with each other, that seems to be like the main thing. Like less care about, you know, all the contextual information of like why characters are doing things and where they're going and, you know, what their motives are. It's like, how are they interacting with each other? That's what this show really is good at. And then coupling that with just like amazing visuals, like it's just like a great ride. And this episode definitely, beginning to end, it's probably like the best like visual experience out of the entire series, because it is kind of like nonstop action, and we do finally get kind of, I guess, more confrontations and like character resolution between characters than I guess we were aware we needed. But you get a lot of that, and it's I think we focus too much throughout the season on like the, you know, the contextual what, whys, and wheres and all that, and really it's just about like how do these characters interact with each other in these moments toward their doom. So that's the resolution we get, is between characters, not so much the characters themselves. I enjoyed it quite a lot.
I feel like every episode you're like, this is probably the best visual episode of the...
No, I haven't said that in a while.
No,
yeah, I mean, really,
you call out when they do the little artistic flair sections, but the episodes as a whole are usually pretty mellow. And I don't necessarily care for all of those visual flares if no one has noticed along the way. And definitely the weird whatever visual style they chose for the Victor Jace mind melding stuff was not doing it for me. But the general artistic style, if they did the whole thing in their normal artistic style, that would be wonderful. I would love that. All of the other floofy side stuff is not for me. But
yeah, I would say the like ether cosmic scenes where their bodies are just like light and then they still have their normal head, that I would agree that's probably my least favorite like artistic direction that they chose to use. But yeah, man, Nick, they just did so many cool stylistic things throughout this season. You know, I'll probably have to rewatch season 1 again just to because it's been a little while. Obviously season 2 is much fresher in my memory, to see if they like did all of the random stylistic things throughout episodes. I mean, obviously season 1 was animated beautifully in like the main style that they use, right? But I really enjoyed as much as early on in the season I kind of dogged the music video intros, like that grew on me, and how they were all kind of stylistically different visually, not just musically and character wise. I thought it was really, really cool. I loved, you know, the Vander watercolor memories, some of the like straight out of comic book style art. Like they did so many cool things, and I thought it really like emphasized certain things in a really good way. As for the finale, I think this is before we started recording, I asked Dad, our editor, and now Arcane superfan, if he wanted to join us because he's been dying to talk to me about season 2 once I finished it. And when we were chatting last night, I think it left a little to be desired for me. And I think
I mean, there's a lot to be desired.
I wasn't like completely disappointed and shattered by it, but I think where they took the story, like the meta story with Victor being like this all like knowing, omniscient, cosmic deity of time and space, felt kind of weird for his character from League, which of course, League's characters are like, maybe 5 pages of like a short story, right? So they obviously have a lot that they can build and flesh out in a show like this. But this is just so different from his character to be like this cosmic being almost instead of just like a machine herald focused on improving humanity. I mean, I guess technically that is what he was doing in this show, but like at a god tier level instead of like a really smart, almost mad scientist singed
That's just
type
what he goes
level.
on to do next.
That's true. But I feel like we were all wrong about the hooded character in season 1. It's not Rise, it's Victor.
I hate doing this, and I hate when people do it, but like I should have said something because I wanted to throw that out there as like a joke around
that it was Victor.
Yeah, when we were talking about when he touched Jace
Mm-hmm.
on the shoulder in that like episode 6 or 7 or whatever, when he completes his little quest there, I wanted to say that, but I never did. It never came up. But I was totally shocked because I'm pretty sure I had that thought before, and I was like, okay, yeah,
yeah, I just feel like the like super Thanos level, like we'll just keep with the Marvel comparisons, but like the Thanos level like calamity that was being brought about by Victor, I feel like that could have been more of a Black Rose cult, like LeBlanc versus Rise type deal. Like I kind of speculated, I think it was last episode or whatever, because it seems more fitting for a character of their like magnitude almost. I would have really liked to see more about Black Rose and like what exactly they're trying to get at, other than just creating Mel as a character for League of Legends. So yeah, there's just so many things.
I mean, we kind of got like, we got the Avengers like movie. That's what this really kind of is. Without it's the heroes without all the context of like their backstory and like their whys and whats. It's just like we need things to motivate these characters to become playable in game and or vice versa. So let's just kind of fast track them with some other stuff that we'll maybe cover later, maybe not, maybe never again.
Right.
That's the thing, kind of hurts me. There's a lot of just like general death and just like, well, we're not going to see any more of that. I see we're really just kind of sitting here with our main characters again. I don't know. It seems a little flippant. And that's where I think the letdown is like if you think too hard on it, like we did all season, like that's where the letdown comes in because you're kind of like, could have done more there, could have had more answers.
Yeah.
Apparently, we're just here for some flair and some action.
Right.
Which is
if only
fine.
there was like another season or 2 to like fully flesh.
One more, a 3 season would have been perfect.
Yeah, Venom. You've been sitting on this for at least a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the issues for you the first time through? when you didn't necessarily enjoy the ride as much.
So my first question is just, why are we spending all of this time down in the bunker talking about what needs to be done when we're already at the hex gate that we need to deactivate? That was one of the, it's like, protect me. Once they start the advance, then I will start to deactivate the hex gate. It's like, no, you could have been doing this for a week or two at this. I don't know how much time has passed, but it's been.
It's not like you really had to go anywhere. You're literally sitting on top of it.
Obviously taken quite a while for them to prepare. Why have we not deactivated the hex gate already?
Well, I also thought it was odd that it was like he's like hurrying, right, to like deactivate it, but all he's doing is just like pulling them out of, the cylinders out of their placement.
Yep.
He's not like doing anything with them. Like all the parts are there.
And we know those come out because Salo came and took 2 of them completely out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't.
You could remove them, throw them on the floor. So I don't know, but
even if you threw them on the floor, like Victor's gonna show up, he's gonna beat your ass, and then he's just gonna put it back together. Like it's not that hard. Like Jace, you weren't doing anything proprietary to stop it from working.
Yeah, it's like you're not cutting any wires or something here. That like I don't know. Isn't that what you just start ripping out computer components or something? But still, why are we waiting until the ships are on shore? He obviously, the battle starts and he obviously has done nothing to this core whatsoever at this point. It's like, did you just get there? What? So one, there's this major plot hole of we could have just preemptively shut all this down. I don't know why we're waiting. Like, and they've got the big cannons and everything shooting the
crates,
metal crates or something out of them. So it's like, did you need the core active to activate the guns? But if you deactivate the core, do you not just not need the guns anymore?
Yeah.
There's major plot hole there. And then we get...
He had to stand there with his hammer for a good day thinking about this confrontation with Victor.
Right.
If only he was holding a worthy tool of dismantling something.
Right. Blast a hole through the middle of the
I don't know. Maybe a giant cannon in your hand.
Right. So that was one of the things that just threw me off right away. Was the long preparation and for plot reasons. The whole, a lot of it just starts to boil down to, this episode makes me realize how overall shallow the plot ends up being. They've done so well, like we've talked about, they've done so well kind of keeping you entertained with what's on your screen, that you don't take your time to kind of step back and be like, and we have in a couple of points there's some episodes where we're like, why did we spend 35 minutes following these 2 characters where nothing actually happened? So there has been a lot of that, but this season 1 had, at least in looking back memory, seemed to have a lot of depth, a lot of growth, or a lot of progress, and a lot of vision in season 1. Season 2 just feels empty here towards the end. And like you mentioned with my ultimate gripe was...
You mentioned vision. He was literally in the finale. Just saying.
True. Yep, definitely vision.
I just love all the Marvel stuff.
Yes.
Just
all the Marvel stuff. We get to the top. Victor obviously comes in, starts talking to Jace, blah, 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 reactivates the core. They launch back up to the top, and we just get this. It is the same exact story that we have now had done by how many? Pokemon Infinity did a very similar story as a fan Pokemon game, where it's just Victor from the future coming back to stop Victor from the past. And I feel like there could have that is just, to me, the most lazy plot story we could have chose, because we've already seen this so many times recently. It's like, give us something unique to League of Legends here. It didn't need to be Rise. And I mean, in season 2, upon seeing the hooded figure again, did not feel it was Rise. But in season 1, that is the first thing I thought of, because I didn't pay that close of attention to the character itself, but it very much looks like this is Realm Warp happening,
right?
Which is an ability of Rise, and you get the blue, he gives him the blue rune and everything. It just made sense in that moment for it to be, hey, this is Rise.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't have to be Rise, and I didn't think it was Rise anymore. But it really, really didn't need to be Victor either. Like you said, this could have been ultimately it could have been something where perhaps it is motivated by the Black Rose. That could have been a Black Rose mage that came and gave that to Jace to try and bring about this calamity. They could be trying to convince Mel that a calamity is coming in efforts to sway her to their side, that her mother is bringing it, to sway her to their side to help bring about this calamity. And we could have had a conflict around that. I mean, there's so many other things that could have been unique to Arcane and League of Legends that didn't have to be a rewashed plot that we've already seen.
What it kind of feels like is they purposefully isolated this story so they can just like basically someone like in the writers room, they had all these great ideas to make something awesome and like continuous, but then someone in the back of the room who like manages all the lore, he's like, yeah, but we can't like box ourselves into a corner. We need to be allowed to do whatever we want whenever we want. So just make sure this is all very self-contained. So when we make a new story, it can be whatever we want, whatever we want again. You know what I mean? It's like, don't add too much like continuity to it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But you can still create a story that is unique to Runeterra, right? Like, you don't even have to tie in necessarily the Black Rose. They did. And you don't even need to tie in a character like Rise. But maybe the Hex Tech and the Wild Rune actually activates a World Rune, which is a big deal in Runeterra, right? And that could be the thing. Like, it doesn't have to be Victor now all of a sudden like being able to transcend time and space, which doesn't make sense for him. But yeah, I don't know. You both, like the three of us, all make valid points that are kind of like opposite of each other, but like also like entangled with each other.
And I think that just shows how many different ways they could have chose to go with this. And I know not everyone's going to be happy with every choice that they make, but it seems like this one kind of let down the most people. It just, seeing it myself and then seeing a lot of the backlash over how the season ended online and everything. I mean, a lot of the people that aren't from the League scene seem to be totally fine with it because it was an enjoyable ride. But a lot of the people that are closer to the League scene are kind of like, oh, what the hell is this crap? This is this is just a rewash. We've seen this story before. Why did League just have to copy this?
Right. And like to your point, Nick, like you can't really create a show in this world without it being connected, because there's just already so much in this world, right? I mean, they could have, I say that, but also the flip side of the coin is they could have told just a completely unique Piltover and Zon story and not involve Noxus and not involve the Black Rose. And it could have been great and not have even involved like time and reality travel. Like building up the rebellion, there could have just been like a Zon Piltover Civil War part 2, right? With the shimmer and all of that. But that kind of like disappeared, even though that was like a cool story that they were building in season 1.
I mean, everything wrapped up though. Like there's no loose ends.
Yeah, and they could have done that. I just my beef is like all of a sudden exploding this to like time travel and reality hopping.
I would have been more okay with loose ends, to be honest. And they've also shown.
I think that's what we were expecting. We were expecting loose ends, but there were none.
Yep, they wanted it all tied up too neatly, and in trying to make it neat, they went through and they ruined what was making it special by trying to make it too neat.
Yeah.
And they've already shown through this very show that they have no problem whatsoever rewriting the history of Runeterra and League. So
even without the show, they do that anyways. Like,
right, exactly.
It's not something that ever is a concern to them.
Yeah. So they are very, very okay with changing the story. They are very, very okay with characters dying, even playable characters. Which again, then we just get into the whole. There's these multiple realities and timelines and everything going on. So they start showing us all these multiple realities, multiple timelines, and then they show us this neatly tied loop of one of the timelines, and you just start to feel so nothing actually matters in this world. That's kind of where I was left, is like, okay, so none of this actually kind of mattered. And I mean, a lot of people died along the way, but none of this actually mattered or got us anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so let's talk about some of these arcs and some of these characters.
Was I not wrong that right off the bat, Jinx's fate was foretold? We right in the beginning of the episode, you guys are wondering what happens to Jinx after she walks away from Vi. I'm like, it is foretold. Was I not right?
Herself.
Who steps in though?
Yeah, Echo.
Yeah, and what happened in literally the previous episode?
He just kept rewinding time.
No, in the previous episode, Echo goes to an alternate reality, comes to like Powder and realize what Jinx could have been, and then comes back to this reality to save Jinx from herself.
Yeah.
It was all right. It told you basically what was. Jinx is there ready to kill herself. Who steps in? Echo.
Ripping that cord.
Yep. It was very, very, very neat. And see that loop to be getting tied up, I'm totally fine with that. Showing that coming and everything, I was fine with that. That was perfect. And even we get a nice at the end of the episode. I know I'm skipping ahead here now that we're trying to talk, but they show with everything that happened, Jinx falls down, presumably blows up with Vander, but we'll talk about that later. As they are lighting the little names on fire, you see Echo sitting on a ledge overlooking the city, and lights up a piece of paper for Jinx because he's sitting there alone.
Yeah, that was a good touch. That was one of my thumbnail ideas that I didn't post in our group chat. Was him sitting there alone. That would just made me too sad if that was our thumbnail.
Right.
Yeah, man. Oh, dude. Echo is my favorite part of this episode for sure. Yeah. Like,
absolutely.
Obviously the beginning. And then I was like, as he's, keeps pulling the cord and like trying to save Jinx, I'm like, can you imagine how frustrating that has to be Echo? Like, you have you have like 2 seconds before she just nukes herself, and you got to figure out how to like you keep trying, but you have 1 sentence. Like, it's got to be a good sentence, man.
Yeah.
But no, when the like clock explodes or whatever later on the episode, and you see his like sword thingy just like sitting there, I'm like, oh, his sword. And then he's like zipping through on the little hoverboard with his sword, like smacking all the iRobot Victor husks and ripping the cord, and then he goes back super far. And man, that was just definitely by far my favorite part of the episode was Echo, for sure. But yeah, Jinx, she gets a haircut in the beginning. She burns down the last sip. Which one is it? Last drop.
Yep.
And she's about to self-delete, which, guys, PSA, never the option you should take. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, for me, so like I was thinking more big picture with what you were saying, Venom, about Jinx's fate being already written on the wall. And I mean, as you say that, like, obviously that you hit that nail right on the head. But I even think her end of the episode was also exactly like you could, looking back. Totally.
I was speaking mostly towards the beginning of the episode, but I did also I was waiting for one of you to post in our chat, and when you were watching the first part and be like, oh my God, I was right. And no one did. But either way, the whole bit of Jinx's part in this episode, I think we've been leading to this the entire season.
I mean,
her part in this episode, I think, was flawless.
Yeah, and Jinx has already killed Vander how many times? So like her killing him again at the end, obviously that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
poor Vander, like, just needs to stay away from Jinx. Well, I guess the second time he died wasn't really Jinx. It was Isha, but whatever, close enough. But yeah, how did you guys like her development throughout the season? But I guess specifically in Act 3, kind of becoming less Jinx and more Powder-like, and her and Vi kind of, rekindling their siblinghood.
It came full circle again. Nothing mattered along the way. It's two sisters fighting side by side, just like we started. There's nothing to see here. A little bit whiny and on one side, and a little emo on the other side, but we got there.
Yeah, I don't know why she had to die though.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I think I just got very, I don't know. I know they're the focus of the show, but they kind of got like exhaustive in their narrative because, like you said, we're kind of like right back where we started, and I guess it's the story of them having a falling out. But at the end of the day, like, they're always together, kind of thing. So I don't know. Took a lot of turns to get net nowhere on that one. So that's fine. I just really like the attack, like the opening. The attack
she comes
is
in
so
the
good.
Balloon.
Yeah, that entire sequence is just so good, and even the Mbessa showdown is just awesome because they create the like dual wall. So from the duel in, and they're facing out and those dudes are like, whoever wins, that's who we ride with. It's on
the soldiers and Noxus part of this. Again, I have objections with where we ended up, but getting there so well. With the Noxian soldiers, we have all of these Victor super soldiers. Noxian soldiers would never bow down before a fight. They want the glory to go in first. So who leads the charge? Mbessa and the Noxian soldiers go in. They do not allow the super soldiers to come in until the very end when things are starting to go awry. So that this is very much the entire way they did that part, I think, to a T with, and then the whole, like you said, the dual wall, Caitlyn and Mel challenging Mbessa, and you get the Jinx and Vi kind of wrap up. Nothing happens. We end up in the same spot we started. Jace and Victor make up and bromance out a little bit and then disappear into nothingness. And then you get Mel and her mother kind of at odds with each other, but at the very, very end, Mbessa is proud of her daughter for becoming actually becoming the wolf, which I got the wolf.
Yeah, I saw that Power Animal Thursday shirt. Very nice.
It glows in the dark, but I can't do it in here at the moment. Yeah. So
that is a pretty red shirt.
And all that just was real. That whole sequence was also super satisfying because that was good, like, closure to like their relationship. Caitlyn was involved in that situation because she was close with Mbessa. Mbessa's comment earlier about entanglements professionally got her, right? Because she had a real inside girl on the job. I thought that was all really good. I like that betrayal of whoever her little assistant girlfriend was, like
Maddie. I was gonna say Molly. Maddie.
And there's lots of little things with that too, because the bomb that doesn't go off, it's got the nail in it, and Maddie's the one that takes it out of her bag and hands it off. And then
I saw the nail, I'm like, okay, a nail, like what? Flying around. Then I'm like, that makes sense.
I didn't see it the first time. The second time through, I mean, you think, okay, Maddie, but when watching it the second time, I know Maddie is a traitor, so I'm watching her when they come running out and get ready to throw out the gases and everything like that. She's the one carrying the bomb in a bag, so she takes the bomb out, kind of gives the guy a side eye glance, which is suspicious, but you don't really think anything of it in the moment, and hands it to him.
So maybe he did it.
She has sabotaged the bomb, and then right before the bomb doesn't go off and everything's going on, and then in the smoke, I missed it the first time, the person that knocks Caitlyn out has the goggles on, so that is Maddie. She comes up, so she planned that to stop them from blowing up the bomb,
the decoy.
The bomb on the decoy, so that all of this
means nothing.
Extra stuff for no, but again, it's this whole thing with the Noxian soldiers and everything, and the art of war stuff going on in the background, all the subtleties and subterfuge and everything going on. So
I do love, Nick, your point that the Noxian soldiers will roll with anyone because it's strength and honor above all. So strongest is fit to lead. I love when this like little 2-verse-1 duel starts. Mbessa is getting ready to give her like monologue, and Kate's just like, let's just fight. I was like, thank you.
Poor line soldier takes a spear to the chest. And
dude, it was awesome. I loved it, and
that's gotta be an honorable death though. Like during that situation, to be the one that gets this random spear to the chest from the fight. Like, my man, bro, you got it, dude. You die right there now.
Nice catch.
Man, it was just a really cool fight.
Just Yumi in the background. Are you dead?
Tight.
Oh yeah. Loved seeing her like petrocite runes.
Right. In the sacrifice that Kate ends up having to make to
rip her eye.
Fight. Yeah.
Does she have an eye patch in the game?
To be honest, I don't think she does.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't play her enough.
I'm almost positive she does not at least not on her base skin.
Yeah. But man, it was cool. It's crazy, like, because she's like sniping Mbessa before that even happens, and her runes are
her
like
rail gun.
Yep.
And the runes deflect those too, I guess, because
they're
X power.
Bullets,
But yeah, that was really cool.
it's because she's got him on her right arm. She's being sniped from the right side because it shows she is going to make an attack or something as the shot comes in, and it's just enough to deflect it to hit her face.
Yeah, and it does cause her to bleed. So
yeah. It's not like it creates a force field around her. It just total happenstance by way of plot that she goes to make an attack and slightly deflects the bullet.
It's the same way that the dude who had those originally fought Jinx, and she was unable to shoot him with her little pistol.
True.
Because he's able to like wield his staff and just like absorb Hextech energy, which is a cool thing to have in this place.
That's very convenient. I did love when Jinx like rolls in on the like Zeppelin though.
Right.
Like they just hear like the beat and they're all like, what is happening?
Yeah, everything's all nice, tied up, good to go. And
Yeah. But yeah, Jinx rolls in, Echo comes in with the firelights. Very, very cool, dude. I love seeing them zip around on the little hoverboards. We haven't seen that since season 1 when they because did Echo attack Piltover with Jinx in season 1, or was it just other firelights?
Firelights. They were fighting against each other because Jinx was rolling with Silco's boys, goons, and then they were fighting against them.
Okay, but they were all zipping around with the hoverboards then. But yeah, that was really cool. Seeing Jinx and Vi. Well, first off, can we talk about that epic shot of Vi jumping across the gap and the like
all the iron rods?
Yeah, oh my gosh, dude, that is. I wanted to use that for the Spotify thumbnail. All you Spotify listeners, that was almost the thumbnail, but I just couldn't get it to fit like ratio wise. Oh, dude, that was just such a cool shot. But yeah, seeing Jinx and Vi fight what looked like the Victorious Warwick skin that you get like when you finish like gold or higher or whatever. They basically make like metal skins, what it looks like. That is 100% going to be a skin. Like I can already see it. It looks so sick. But yeah, that whole fight that actually went on forever was awesome. I loved seeing like that fight happening, and then Victor and Jace come like flying through the Hex Tower. That was awesome. Can we just talk about Victor had the thing?
Yep.
And he shot his laser out of the thing.
Tentacle thing. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it wasn't the robot arm, but close enough. They threw it in there, and that made me very happy.
It will be. In the next show they do, we're gonna actually get in-game Victor, and he's just gonna
they've actually done
they changed the game Victor
visual update and kit change to make Victor now Arcane Victor.
Yeah, and it made a bunch of
end of the end game Victor,
like
or
end of not
like end
not
Victor,
super Victor, that
thumbnail Victor
rune. Yeah,
thumbnail Victor.
Isn't it? I guess I don't remember.
The guy between Mike and I right here on the screen.
The little face. No, isn't it it's the wolf? It's the wolf face Victor, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So not quite the one in between you guys. The one where he walks in on Jace trying to disassemble everything. That Victor. Yeah. That is now the canon Victor. As most VGUs in League go, it made every Victor main very unhappy.
Yes, incredibly unhappy.
Still, not that I am holding it against Riot, but still not a fan of Sejuani's VGU. I know that was like literally 7 years ago, but
if I'm going to complain about something, it's going to be the like 7 reworks that Aurelion Sol has received, because I absolutely loved the original Aurelion Sol, and he's been terrible ever since.
By the way, that would be a cool cosmic deity for a show to go up against villain. but let's just turn a robot guy into that. Anyways, yeah. So, let's just stick on the ground. We'll stick with Mel and Bessa. So, Caitlin makes a sacrifice. She's able to cut the rune like string off of Ambessa's arm, and then Mel's magic now works. And yeah, what'd you make of Mel going into the Black Rose realm, the talk with the sorceress, Mel freaking out again and kind of breaking her mom out of the Black Rose prison? What'd you make of all that, Venom?
I'm not entirely sure. That's probably the only loose end we really end up with here, is what, because obviously the Black Rose activated Mel for the purpose, they said, of stopping this calamity from happening. Stop your mother. But then when Mel sends Ambessa to the Black Rose realm, I don't know what we're really calling this,
right?
Sends her in there. The shadowy figure is doing the Dumbledore thing where they're extracting something from Ambessa's mind. So I don't know if they're extracting her memories and whatnot, and they're trying to gain information. I would assume, if this really is LeBlanc, I assume that's probably what's happening. Is this is all a play for they've got their quarry, they've captured their prize, and they are trying to gain information from her mind. But then we get, obviously, Mel comes in and says, I see your true face or true form or something like that. Calls her the deceiver, and breaks her mom out. And I assume that's because she has sent Ambessa into this realm. She breaks into this realm and then sees, oh, there's more going on here than what you guys told me. This is crap, and breaks her mom free. So that seems like that is possibly the only real loose end. I mean, there's other points we can kind of jump on, and we'll do that later. But that was the only part that I was still left kind of quizzical about what exactly happened here.
Yeah, because obviously she goes against the Black Rose, and the sorceress is not defeated in any way, and neither is Mel. So that definitely is an open end that they could explore. But again, like, I understand why the Black Rose was introduced, but I also feel like the Black Rose was just a giant nothing burger.
Right.
We didn't really learn anything about the Medarda Black Rose feud, like what's going on there. We didn't learn anything about the Black Rose other than they can chain people in this like red and black realm.
Right. Well, and we've only seen two members. We saw the one guild merchant that died, and we've saw the shadowy figure. That's it.
Yeah. And then like we didn't get anything further with Mel. What was the point? I mean, literally just to awaken Mel's powers, but that per Jace already happened with the season 1 finale. So like,
yeah, we could have just
skipped the Black Rose.
We could have skipped all the Black Rose stuff, had the explosion activate her powers, and throughout this season, throughout the turmoil that is this season, because there's plenty of that going on in Piltover, she could have just come to grips with her powers. Yeah.
And again, like, I feel like, excuse me, that's probably something that would have been explored in additional seasons. Like, if this truly wasn't just a planned 2-season thing.
That does feel like a really big like season 2 arc if there's a season 3. Like if you know, we're still arrive at the same destination, but it does feel like there should have been a decent arc focusing on that. So it really just kind of feels like it's the glue that kind of it really only explains why Mel. It really doesn't explain much, honestly, because you don't really need any. Because still, Mbessa was coming to Piltover for weapons. Mel was already kind of sent there by her because, like, isolate her from her powers. It's like the only way to tie it to is like, well, obviously, whoever Mbessa got with was some sort of Black Rose mage relation. And that's a problem. But yeah, it's super very thin reasoning why, especially why we got like a whole episode on it, like, or several episodes. Like the better part of this first half of the season was focused on the elusive Black Rose hints that went.
Well, and with how heavy they went with the Black Rose stuff in the first couple episodes, they tried to kill off Mbessa.
Yeah.
But again, this comes back to me feeling like this is really shallow. They did all of this stuff with the Black Rose, but it turns out the Black Rose is their answer to how do we progress the plot. that when they run into how do I get from point A to point C on the plot and make it seem somewhat convincing, I guess, point B is, well, Black Rose gets introduced here. And that kind of ends up being with not getting any real substance to their story. It literally just feels like plot glue.
They really needed Mel to get trapped in a hole like Jace, so there could be some sort of like semblance there.
Yeah,
they had to go through their trials and tribulations at the bottom of a hole, and then break their way out.
And we didn't even get any cool reveals of the Black Rose.
Yeah.
As like at least you guys got this little treat. It's just like, ooh, Black Rose. And that's it. And because of Black Rose, now Mel has powers. But yeah, again, like going back to what we talked about in the beginning, like to even have this story, you don't even need Noxus or the Black Rose. You can just cut Mbessa, Mel out of this because Jace and Victor, the two like key components of the meta story going on here, are already in Piltover. They're from Piltover and Zon. Like you can still have this whole like Calamity, Victor wants the glorious evolution thing without even involving Noxus and the Black Rose.
And I am totally okay with everything involving Mel and her mother if they didn't bring the Black Rose into it. They could have literally just sent Mbessa into this story on the pursuit of weapons for something, for something going on in Noxus or elsewhere.
Yeah.
And we'll get to it. I believe it's already been kind of confirmed that the next jump off point is going to be primarily around Noxus and their neighbors. So I would assume we're going to get more of that story later. But I would have preferred, even if this is how Mel became a mage, is she has a parent that is part of the Black Rose, leave the Black Rose out of Arcane in the next spin-off story that gives you a compelling story. Mel now controls a powerful Noxian army, as much as I can tell here. She decides to travel to Noxus and discovers part of her past. You could have completely left that for season 1 of the spin-off story, not involved it in Arcane, and I think it would have been a much cleaner story.
Yeah. And when the shadowy lady's hand started to turn into a hand, I was like, we're going to get it. We're going to see LeBlanc. And then it's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Which doesn't have me salty at all. You know, I'm only like 0 for 3 right now with my bold predictions. So
5 years later, you're gonna be vindicated on that. Because that's gonna be the opening scene of the next series. It's gonna be LeBlanc. You're gonna be like, I knew it.
Yeah, LeBlanc and Ambessa.
Like step 1, episode 1 of the next show, just LeBlanc. That instantly be hooked for that entire season. I don't even care what happens from there. Just show LeBlanc show the Mel blowing up her shadow and snap back to LeBlanc as the start of the show.
That would be sick.
I'm there.
Then music video LeBlanc.
Yeah, and then music video, disco LeBlanc dancing, like doing her dashes all over the place. You know.
Yeah, love it. Great, great idea.
How to catch me forever and then instantly lose me.
Just do it all real quick.
Yep, really fast.
So do you want to talk? Let's talk about Jinx and her alleged no body, no death ending, and then we can talk about like the main ending with Victor and Jace and all that.
The glorious
if you think anything, if we still need to talk about that, I know we kind of touched on it at the beginning, but we could probably go a little deeper. But yeah, Jinx. Why'd she have to die? Allegedly, we don't see her body. I refuse to.
I don't think she died. There's no way. No, there's no way.
How did she not die?
So
did she have Asonias?
She has her glimmer powers. I mean, there's obviously if you go through, there's all this talk of when the Jinx monkey bomb goes off, there is a flash of shimmer lightning that shoots out the one side. And then we get this whole Caitlyn going through her Kiraman files again and looks at where she fell down the middle of the shaft, and there's little air duct chutes right there. That they showed that for a specific reason. So obviously Caitlyn thinks she got out. It looks like she possibly could have got out, and then the very, very end of the show, the Zeppelin away. Jinx said she was going to fly away on someday, is flying away on its own.
I was wondering what the significance of that is, because they just let that sit there for a good solid 30 seconds.
In season 1, when it might have even been episode 1 where they're going in for the heist or whatever. Powder looks at one of them and says, "One day I'm gonna fly or ride one of those things."
Oh, nice.
So again, we just go full circle. And the whole break the cycle thing. The whole speech that we got from Silco about sometimes the best thing to do is to just walk away. There she goes, leaving it all behind, going on her own story.
I was wondering what Caitlyn was looking at. Like, what was the point of that? But now that you laid that all out, makes a lot of sense. What do you think, Nick?
No, I'm down with that.
I think she scooted out. She had flash on F right into that little vent.
It would be extra interesting because if Caitlyn was aware of that somehow, right?
And not telling Vi.
And not tell Vi. Like, she keeps Vi because Vi would eventually just leave her again to go find her sister.
Right.
So it's like a dirty little secret. But like also probably a little necessary because they're just like toxic, those sisters. Like so like or even for a time, like maybe, even if she it's like not that she's lying to her, she's not telling her, she'll probably find out one day because it's Vi. Something will happen. So she's just enjoying like this time of calm that she really hasn't had.
Kate says to her, "Are you still in this war? Are you still in this war?" And I'm like, "What war? What war? What are we still fighting here?" Because their story seems to be pretty well wrapped up. What war are they? But obviously, there's something here that Riot thinks is still going on. That Kate wants Vi by her side. So Kate would have reason to not tell Vi, hey, your sister's still alive. Hey, remember when your dad was still alive and you went and, traipsed all over with your crazy sister that tried to kill you? Your sister's still alive, and now you're going to go do that same thing, right? So she has good reason to want her by her side, because I don't know who they're still fighting. But
what was Vi's reply?
That was the title.
The dirt under your nails.
The title of the show.
I mean,
basically, I'm not going anywhere. You can't get me out of here.
Maybe it's like a metaphorical like war, like maybe war of
that's
their love or something like that. Are you still in it? Something to that effect, not necessarily literal war. Unsure.
But you could have just said, "Are you still with me?" I don't know.
Yeah, be dramatic. It's
I mean, I guess, but
she is now the Grand General of Piltover, right? So
is she still? There's a council. The council.
There's a new council though, so I would assume she has lost her supreme command.
Yeah. Or that
was just emergency powers, like Palpatine.
Or is she asking that? I'm sorry, I was rudely reading a Discord message, so you might have said this. But did she ask that maybe because Kate did tell Vi that Jinx got out, and that was Caitlyn's way of asking, like, are you still fighting this war? AKA, are you still gonna go, like, be with your sister, or are you gonna, hang up the gauntlets and chill here?
I don't know if it was constructed in the proper way for that to be the case, but I don't know, maybe.
With my track record, it's most likely definitely not that. So
wrong again.
Just tossing stuff out there. So Victor and Jace, or do you guys have anything else to say about Jinx and that whole thing?
I think she's still alive. I don't know what war Kate and Vi are still fighting. I don't.
She's still alive.
I don't know. Is Kate gonna lose an eye in League of Legends now or not? I'm not sure. At least it was the left eye. I assume she's right eye dominant, so can still shoot a rifle.
Yeah, it's funny how Arcane fundamentally changes the lore of one character, but not any of the other characters that had extremely fundamental things changed about them in the show.
I can't imagine it's all that hard to add an eye patch to a character. Changing the entire body of Victor, that maybe a little more difficult, but
they're working on the skins.
We need we'll probably need an in memoriam in this episode, Dad, if you're watching, just of all the fallen playable characters that happened. I mean, we had Heimer allegedly being
who knows
evaporated. We had Jinx. We had
also not dead.
Oh yeah, well, true.
Heimer's not
Vander / Warwick.
He can't die.
Ambessa's
dead.
Introduced immediately to die.
Yeah.
Like a true Noxian.
Yeah, I think
usually.
Well, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it.
Playable character wise.
Yeah. And I think 2 of them are for sure dead. Not sure on the whole Vander the whole Vander thing doesn't really make sense to begin with. How is he still alive?
Because
all of the other iRobots died when Victor...
Didn't they like
they reanimated
they reboot?
They rebooted and all that stuff, but with Vander, he is still 2 things. So the Vander part of him is like what becomes the iRobot part. Forever, even when they all died, the blood was still there and like pumping as the beast to keep.
So the iRobot part died, and then the beast comes back. Essentially,
the beast is kind of like always there by default on. It's just whether or not Vander is present in some state, either it be iRobot or Vander himself. It's just you can kill Vander.
Yeah,
and
the
human part of him, the beast cannot be killed.
The human part of Vander is dead,
Yes.
But the Victor machine consciousness Vander was there. Gotcha. So that would make sense, I guess. But we still don't know confirmation necessarily that he's dead in any way.
I don't think he can kill the beast. Like that thing is still cranking somewhere.
I'm pretty sure Heimer is absolutely dead because they literally showed him vaporizing. And Mbessa appears to be very much dead. So those two are for sure gone.
We should say we did see Oriana.
Yes.
Singe's daughter. To get that little glimmer in the
Who
mirror.
Looks just like the assistant Trader. I was like, wait a second.
We don't reuse assets in Riot, okay? We do not use
it. But is she a minion? Is she coded as a minion?
Yeah, so all right, Victor and Jace. What else do you want to talk about? And we kind of had our little gripes about the meta story. Nick, Venom and I did a lot of talking. How did you feel about the glorious evolution, and then the makeup / probably led to make out session? I don't know.
No, it's totally
their minds were touching, man.
Yeah, they don't. There's no physicality there. It's just
their minds were touching, bro.
Mental groping. Just weird stuff like that. I like the idea of it. I like things like Victor. They didn't do a good job explaining or justifying kind of why he goes from the Victor he was before the accident to the Victor he is during his like hex core, like Jesus walks moments. To me, it's just like a weird stretch to go from like, I'm gonna like save these people from being junkies and I'm gonna I want a better humanity, to literally the opposite. I want to obliterate humanity and everyone's humanity by making a giant hive mind out of everything. So like I don't agree with that, other than to say he just went off the deep end in his thinking, who is otherwise a very logical, smart person, just went off the rails there. Like that's the only way to explain it. There is no logic as to why he arrived at the idea of like from going to saving and bettering humanity to screw humanity, you guys don't deserve it, or something to that effect. Like I am humanity. Like it to me that was too much. Like that was way too much and over the rails. Like there needed to be a different motive going on there. Like I get it if there was some sort of like ominous threat to humanity or the entire world, but there wasn't. He was like the threat.
Well, like the turn from normal Victor into like angry, angsty, like semi-villain Victor from being revived after the season 1 finale and the hex core, and the hex core kind of replacing Victor's humanity in a way, but also not really. I could see that like heel turn, but then because when he comes out of the hex back to tank thing, like he's very clearly angry at Jace and seemed to have made the heel turn into like villain. But then like the next time we see him, all of a sudden he like, because Sky said something to him, like is just like, I'm gonna use these powers for good. And it's that was the heel turn, that the like reverse heel turn. I was like, well, why are we doing this? Like, because we already sent him on the angry villainous path, and like I think what turned him again for the reverse heel turn, he's probably dizzy at this point, was Jace coming back and blasting a giant massive hole in his chest, because I forget exactly what he says at the end of that episode, but essentially he's like, yeah, humanity essentially gets undone because of emotions, and like we let emotions like I don't know what the word is,
the
supersede like logic and stuff, and like because of that, like I need to eradicate humanity and make this glorious evolution, right?
he says something about the thing that causes us to do our greatest good also causes us to do our greatest
Yes.
evil.
That's what he says.
So
right there.
so he, in that moment, he turns again to, I need to eliminate this chaos, this factor that can't be accounted for, and get everyone together on the same path.
And that kind of like starts to bring him a little closer to pre like update Victor in game, because like all of his upgrades to humanity were like replacing body parts with machine parts and like trying to reduce the inefficiency of humanity with machine, right? And they were kind of like going towards that a little bit, even, but now with like replacing the inefficiency of human consciousness with the hive mind of Victor. So I was almost on board again, but then there's like, it's gonna end the world somehow, and now Victor, because he's a hive mind in the cosmos, can travel through time and all these different realities, and now he's pulling a Pokemon Infinity and going back in time to save himself from his future self, and it's just like, oh gosh, they were so close.
Yeah,
so
like,
close. They
I'm
didn't
really,
have to take it all the way up to that level. They could have just like, but anyways.
yeah, I just don't buy it. Like, because there could have been a number of different reasons to, I don't know, he's just like lying to himself. Like, at that point, it's not for humanity. Like, you're just like, at that point, no, you're not saving humanity, you're destroying humanity. Like, you were never for humanity if that is your end goal. Like, replacing and upgrading and making humanity more efficient is completely different than obliterating humanity by making everyone a hive mind. It's basically like the whole point of like Mass Effect is like there's life and then there's like machine death of like, the anti-life force in the galaxy. Like, it's just like complete opposite, and it's never the ambition to save it. Like, you're annihilating it. So I just don't buy it. And him as a character, like, is completely nuked his character. Like, there's no point.
And we don't really understand how do we get from wolf face Victor back to human form Victor because obviously if this is a timeline he is going to fix, that hooded figure Victor is future wolf Victor. So how did we go from wolf Victor back to human form Victor? And human form Victor says exactly what Nick just said. He's like, hey, I've realized after, thousands of years and billions of destroyed lives and all this other stuff that destroying people's lives is bad. And I need to go back and stop myself.
Yeah. And then somehow Jace just handing him back the rune is just like,
yeah,
you're right. Well, I should not do this anymore.
We should point out, because we didn't mention it at the time, the rune is the Z rune. And the Z rune is what Echo uses to create his Z drive. And in the episode where Echo goes back, he goes super far back in time, and then as the Z drive is about to blow up, like I thought he did in the game, he throws the Z drive at Victor's face and blows it up. But Victor says that device shouldn't exist.
Right.
So they tie up the whole, there was only one way to do this. And Victor says, Jace, you're the only person who could show me this. So that leads me to believe that in every timeline that Victor has explored, regardless of whether Jace is involved or not, Victor somehow becomes this machine herald. no matter what Victor tries, the young Victor discovers the arcane, discovers Hextech, and leads to the destruction of humanity. And this is the only path Victor has found, is rescuing this boy in the middle of the Freljord winter or something like that. We're not really sure where Jace is from, where he and his mother were from, but it wasn't Piltover, certainly not there.
Yeah.
So Victor has been exploring this human final form. Victor has been exploring time and space and all of the realities to find the one situation in which Victor himself does not destroy humanity. And the one way to do that was to hand this little child the Z rune and allow things to play out from there. So,
but he didn't account for Echo.
No. So,
what is the significance of like that device shouldn't exist? Like it seemed to have caught him off guard.
That was Wolfface Victor. That is present day Victor. Future Victor knows giving Jace the Z rune. Well, future Victor doesn't necessarily know how this is going to end. He's literally just been trying everything. So
because Jace has to be on the whole Hexgate thing for the heist to go off.
Right.
Which is how Echo ultimately always ends up with.
He ends up getting access to the Z rune. In this particular case, he gets access to the Z rune. The Z rune is what allows time travel.
Yeah.
So future Victor has been going back in time, not necessarily just to Jace. He's been going back and changing time over and over and over again in different ways that we don't necessarily see. So in some pasts, he might have gone and given Vi arcane runes, or he might have given Echo himself arcane runes, or he might have given someone in Noxus arcane runes. But no matter what he has tried to this point, he always ends up destroying humanity. So future Victor, in this particular case, he's literally just handing out runes to people in different timelines to see which one turns out correctly. Present day Victor doesn't realize that time bending, time travel hasn't occurred to present day Victor yet. So that's why he says that rune that rune shouldn't exist. Yeah. And that's the missing piece that Z drive that Echo created. That is why they are able to break the cycle of Victor killing everybody.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They don't do a very good job of showing that, but that is essentially what is happening at that point.
Yeah, it looks good though.
Yeah.
It all comes back to Echo.
That's kind of all they cared about. The writers took this season off, and the animators came out in full force of all flavors to show off everything they could possibly do.
Yeah, they were like, writers, you got like a loose outline. They're like, yeah. They're like, cool. Go work on this other thing. We're going to
spend the other $120 million on the animations.
Animation, you guys get their budget. Writers, you're off the hook for this season. Appreciate all your efforts.
Start pitching ideas for future seasons. We're good on this one, guys.
And then the animators were like, oh, cool. But they're like, but this is the last season. And they're like, oh, crap. How are we going to fit all of our really cool animation ideas into one season?
And any of the holes that the writers had, like they start working on the season.
Music video.
They start working on the season and everything. And then they get to a point, they're like, we didn't explain how we got from this point to this point. And the executive comes in and they're like, what if there was a crazy mage group called the Black Rose?
You know what?
And then music video.
Yeah. One thing also that we should note, if you guys didn't already, the final shot of the new council has what is her name?
Savika.
Yep. That's right. So there's some sort of coming to terms with Zahn and Piltover, because Zahn is represented on the council, which I thought was pretty cool.
Well, and you see also the after all the fighting is done, they show all of the Zahnites kind of crossing the bridge into Piltover. So it's kind of because, and Jinx, I would assume, also not shown in all of this, is Echo saves Jinx's life, convinces Jinx, hey, use your power for good for once. Jinx goes as the official figurehead of Zahn, goes and rallies all the Zahnites that said no to crazy guy Jace that was insane at the council meeting. But
Feral
now
Jace.
now their savior, their icon, Jinx, comes to him and tells him, hey, come join us. And now all of Zahn comes in and battles the Noxian troops, which of course then just leads to the iRobots getting released. But either way, Jinx has convinced all of them to come and fight for the city. So they come sacrifice themselves for the city. So then afterwards, it would make sense that, hey, the two cities have made up and are now together.
I like how Jace is just along for the ride at the end here. He's just like, things are happening. He literally only had one thing to do, and it was like disable.
He couldn't even do it.
The hex gate, and he failed, and then he's just kind of along for the ride from there on. He's just,
and then he's like, you know how that vision that I went to and everything, and how I was conveniently kneeling just like this on top of the place. I should probably do that exact same thing since I know it's going to happen. It's like fall over somewhere else, man. Come on.
Was he just giving up? Like, he just gave up.
You know what? You won this one again. I'm just going to give it to you.
Yeah. So yeah, Arcane's over. It was quite the ride. Definitely had a ton of ups. Season 2, a few downs, but overall, loved it. As a League of Legends fan, loved it. Nick, as someone outside of the League of Legends sphere, what was your overall thoughts on Arcane as a whole?
I mean, I think it's kind of, it's a perfect animated series because, like a lot of great animated series, like you can watch them, really enjoy them, and know there's a lot more out there, but you really don't care. So that's what makes it a great animated series. Because you pick it, like whether it's Gundam or any, the mangas always have way more context in them, but like you're not like, I'm not gonna go read that. I don't really care. Like the show's awesome. It looks really good. So it checks those boxes. And I mean, I like the little tie-ins here and there. I think their focus was like just fan favor and like doing the things, saying the things, like like Venom said, like is definitely, I think, purposely shallow. It doesn't need to be too crazy. They had their objectives, and I think they hit them without overcomplicating it, but without undersplaining things that they tend to do. But they just don't need explanation. Because I thought the way we were talking about it, obviously there's a lot of room to leave things kind of open-ended and like leave breadcrumbs and not tie up as much. But the fact that they tied up so much, and there's really, like Venom said, the only real logical place to go is like Mel, Noxus, and continue the Black Rose thing. Everything else is kind of wrapped up, and it makes you kind of realize that, like, yeah, this is intended to be kind of as shallow, tied up as possible because it looked good. They said the things, and they did some things.
Yep.
That
many times I was able to do this.
Yeah,
they did the thing. Venom, as a League of Legends fan, how did Arcane stack up?
Recovering addict.
Recovering addict. Yeah, I have not fallen back off the wagon like one of our.
It's only one match a night, guys.
Oh, okay.
One match.
How do you feel after that match, though?
You realize that
exhilarating.
That is still 365 matches a year. That's a lot of matches. I think that is more matches than I have in Summoner's Rift.
Wow.
I'm not going to talk about the like 5,000 matches I have on Howling Abyss, but that might be more than I have on the entirety of the main map.
Wow.
I just picture Mike after like we record, like he just turns his screen like toward like the window so no one can see, and he's just like in the corner, all the lights off, just like
Just
getting his
shamefully playing a league.
one session in before bed, before dishes. Who knows?
Dishes, deep cut reference there. Yeah. Anyways,
you can do your dishes in the duration of a Morgana stun.
That's true. Yeah, just about.
Yeah. So, oh man, season 1 was so good. Season 1 was so freaking good. Favorite character. I mean, I've always been a Jinx fan. Even in the game, anytime I could play her on ARAM, always love my ADCs on ARAM, but Jinx was always a fun one. So Jinx is definitely my favorite playable character, but favorite character overall is Silco, and I'm so freaking sad that he couldn't be in season 2. It was absolutely epic that they killed him off and used that to kind of lead where season 2 went, but I miss the
Structured plot,
the structured plan that Silco got us in season 1, that straight line that they did so well with. And then we get into the chaos of season 2, and I just feel like it kind of fell short in what I was hoping for. It fell short what I was hoping for. I was hoping for another grand story. I was hoping to get loose ends with all the promise of things to come. I was hoping to get multiple loose ends that we could explore or not explore. They don't have to explore a loose end that they leave, but at least give us something to kind of go with at the end. I don't like how they kind of tied everything up here at the end. I already kind of went through my whole Victor and retelling the story and everything. But I do still believe this season as a whole, not focusing so much on the story, but just how they presented it and everything. I still feel like it was a pretty good success. I absolutely would not give it the 100% that this thing is getting on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever it is. There was a lot of points I think we touched on pretty well throughout each episode, where they stuck to too many of the not important things, at least the things that seemed not important to us at the time, and ignored too many of the stories that they could have been telling along the way, for this to be truly great. And I think season 1 truly was great, and I think season 2 was just a good season.
Yeah.
Something you said there. Sorry, Mike. Something you said there made me think about like why I like the whole Jinx Vi thing like really fell flat for me in the finale. Was this whole season they were on such like autopilot. Like we've been following them the whole time basically, but like there was so little development there between those characters, where by the time we get to the end, like it almost feels like if they would have spent more time, like focus time, exploring their relationship, it would have landed different in the finale. Whereas like we spent so much time with all these other threads throughout the season, they're just kind of in the background stringing along each episode. Yeah. So when we get to the finale, there's this like, it was a big moment, but it just really landed flat for me. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. There's a million other things I'm really more interested in at this point, but they all either get wrapped up or just didn't matter.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it gets hurt.
The Jinx and Vi back to back, I'm always with you line that Jinx gives, or something very close to that, was honestly the most flat part of the entire fighting. There was so much good going on with all the fight scenes and everything, and then we just get this.
We get up into that sphere.
Yeah, they end up in this big sphere, and Jinx gets up and steps to Vi's back, and I don't even remember what Vi says, but Jinx is like, "I'm always with you." Vi mentions how it would have been better for her to just stay away, and Jinx is like, "I'm always with you," and it didn't hit with me. It didn't resonate with me.
I think it's because the story took such a big turn. Like, if the main focus was Zahn Piltover Civil War Part 2 and like Silco and Jinx's rebellion actually like meant something, and Vi, and Kate's relationship, like, sticking Vi on the Piltover side, like, then that would have like been cool, and like their relationship and the struggles like would have actually meant something, but like that conflict doesn't really matter.
Again, a third season makes more sense, because what happened at the end of Arc 1 when they have their confrontation, like, that feels like where season 2 should have ended, with more of the Zahn Piltover agenda. You end with the Vi Jinx like fight, and then season 3 starts with this like slow recouping of their sisterhood, and the focus of the finale of the entire series in season 3 is the Victor thing. Instead, like, these two things are competing for attention, but really the less interesting one, the sisterhood, which got resolved in episode 3, is just kind of like getting drowned out by the everything else.
Yeah. Well, we had the fight in episode 3 where Jinx essentially wants one or the other. She doesn't care which one, but one of them needs to kill the other one to conclude this split. It doesn't happen the way she wants, whatever. But then 2 episodes later, episode 5, we get the sisters make up. They found Vander. They found their dad. The sisters have made up. So we already went through the story of the 2 sisters making up. And in episode 6, we get Vi asking Jinx for her input on what to do with Vander, and Jinx being like, "Oh, you actually want my input on this?" And we've already made up.
Yeah.
So now 3 episodes later, they're just they quit progressing. They quit progressing that storyline because they got to the point where the ending is going to be 4 episodes before we get to the ending. So then they just we got so much of Jinx and Vi in the beginning, at sometimes to the detriment of the other stories, and then we get to Jinx and Vi's conclusion so quickly that now we've got 4 episodes of Jinx and Vi making no progress whatsoever.
Yep.
I also love the use of progress throughout our podcast season. Just fitting, with Piltover.
Yep.
What you think about it, Mike?
What I think about it?
I interrupted you.
Well, I've already talked about my qualms with season 2, but I think as a whole, this is the start of something that could be glorious, right? Runeterra has so many stories to tell, and this shows that people can and will be interested and entertained by it who are not players of League of Legends. The show was massive, received very well across both seasons.
The marketing campaign has succeeded.
Yes. So that just opens the door, because as someone who has spent a lot of time playing League of Legends and like browsing through character updates whenever they mattered to me. Like, there is so much to explore. There are so many regions to explore, so many cultures, so many. Yeah, there's so much, and the success of Arcane just means that we could get more, which is very exciting. I think it where it fumbled was the decision to bring in like Ambessa and Noxus and the Black Rose. Like, I think you could have told this story without involving any other regions of Runeterra, so you could, as they claimed, you could have avoided the whole MCU type thing by keeping a story contained within a very small portion of Runeterra without interlinking other regions and potential storylines into it. So they contradicted themselves, I feel like, by doing that, by introducing Noxus. And with them saying they don't want to be a new MCU, which why not? Like, you have the world for it. It's not like you're grasping at straws to come up with interconnected stories and new characters. You have like 130 or 150 characters already. Like, you have the material.
72, something like that.
Yeah, very easy to create an MCU and create interconnected stories. And where they did with Noxus and the Black Rose, they didn't like do it enough, right? So overall, like, I had a really fun time watching it and was thoroughly entertained. We end season 2 and I'm just, I need more. Obviously more Runeterra stories, but like, that something just made me not like fully satisfied with how this ended. But it was really good. Those are my thoughts. And as we end the episode here, they put out news like before Act 2 even started, I want to say, or maybe in the middle of Act 2, that there are spin-offs and additional shows in the works. And one of the quotes here, Arcane is just the first one. We're working on a bunch of new projects, a bunch of new stories from across the different regions and characters of our IP. And some of them are actually continuations of character stories from Arcane.
Yeah. So
again, why not just fully dive in? Like,
as far as I'm aware, they have already kind of confirmed the next show is likely to take place in Noxus, Demacia, and Ionia. Yeah. So assuming that is actually true, and it was originally misreported that those 3 regions would be 3 different shows. It is going to be, from what I understand it, that's going to be the same show. The same show is going to take us to Noxus, and it's going to involve Demacia and Ionia, which makes sense because Noxus is constantly at war with Demacia and has tried to invade Ionia.
Yeah.
And that tie makes sense because the only link we don't have a nice bow wrap up on is the Noxus link. And again, I understand if that's where they want to lead us is Noxus. I still think they can bring in. I know you're opposed to the Noxus involvement at all if this is supposed to be a nice tie up and not involved. If they wanted to involve it, I'm fine with the whole Ambessa thing coming in to gain weapons and whatnot. But I would have loved if they just let the Black Rose stuff.
Yeah, just kept that whole thing out.
Or even if it has to appear, make it appear in the finale. make something happen, whether it be the cause of the calamity to begin with was a Black Rose mage, whether something happened where Mel and her mother obviously could have still been fighting each other. Mel could have discovered her powers. She already discovered her powers when the Jinx rocket went off. So Mel could have come into her powers. She would have still opposed her mother gaining these weapons. So you still could have had that conflict, and you could have still resulted in Mbessa dead, but you could have led Mel to Noxus to discover the Black Rose in whatever this spin-off show is.
Yeah.
So I think you could have done a much better job there. And one of the other things that leads us to this Noxus is next. At the end of the episode, we get a visit from a companion of a playable character. We get the 3 red-eyed raven that shows up where Victor and Jace were, and then that same 3-eyed raven flies off to a bunch of Noxian ships. And the 3-eyed raven,
I wonder who that could be.
Indicates Swain.
Wow. One of my predictions.
Yeah.
Barely squeaks in.
So that is kind of leading us to what we not only do we have Mel now taking over what's left of her mother's army, and we can assume she has now inherited whatever is left of House Medarda of Noxus that is now hers, and she has a bone to pick with the Black Rose. But we also get one of the other generals of Noxus previewed towards the end of this season. So it would appear that's where we're going next.
And guess who hates Swain, or who Swain hates? LeBlanc.
True. Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Which again makes me kind of wonder. I'm obviously we have to, if that's where we're going, we should be able to actually place when in the timeline does Arcane actually frickin' happen. Because if we're going to Noxus, we're going to know where in the Noxian calendar are we. So
they just have no references to dates or time, like in Noxus at all.
I still assume
no clocks.
Swain is sailing back to Noxus from Ionia. This is pre-Swain taking over Noxus, and that is going to lead to Swain versus the Black Rose as a compelling story. So we will get the Swain versus LeBlanc stuff going on.
That makes me wonder, as Nick tries not to gouge his eyeballs out from pure boredom, but it makes me wonder, like, obviously Swain and the Black Rose ties, Black Rose and Mel ties, Noxus and Ionia ties, like all those things work very well together. But like, where would Demacia fit into all this? I mean, I know Noxus and Demacia always butting heads, but like it sounds like you already got that Ionian conflict, Swain. Like, why do we need to include Demacia now? Like,
because of who Swain has to come and take the throne from.
Okay, elaborate.
I believe you have Darius and God, who was the other one? There's 2 playable characters involved, and that's where the three pillars of the 3 pillars of Noxus come in that we had where Mbessa suddenly adds a 4th one. The 3 pillars are the 3 leaders, the council that I believe Darius creates when Darius comes into power. And one of the things that they are doing is at constant war with Demacia. Demacia, I believe, invades Noxus to take some land back. Darius and some of the others go off and fight that. and that's where we get a whole bunch of stuff going on with Scion and Jarvan and stuff like that. So that conflict is going on, and then Swain comes back and starts vying for control for himself.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Like, just tell that story, please.
Yeah.
But then they'll probably rework Swain into like this rune wielding cosmic deity who's
Swain's
trying to
rework. So that would be interesting to rework.
It's just going to turn into Swain can now travel across time and realities and must go back into time to save future Swain from encountering LeBlanc at all, and then saves the world.
Nick, where do you think we're going from here?
Oh, I just hope we go straight to Noxus and like just follow Mel. I want Mel to be the main character of the next series. Mel is cool.
Yeah.
She seems to be the only real candidate, you know. Who else are they going to follow from Arcane that has a story to tell? Everyone else is wrapped up.
Yeah, the only character that has like really any like functional like personality or like premise, right? Because like Jinx is Jinx. She's probably just going to be looping around. Vander, right? He's just going to be a giant beast somewhere wrecking shop.
Beast, yeah.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, it's got to be Mel if they do anything, else like that. I don't know what they would name it. I don't know what they're going to name it. It'd be weird to name it Arcane. Because they're gonna be like, it's done. We're not doing it. We're doing something different.
If it's Noxus centered, it almost has to be some kind of like war trope, like honor, right. for honor. It's like what did they say, the warrior's death or something? Call it warrior's death or something like that. Is the something like that.
Yeah.
I guess we do. We do have to see if we are going to Noxus, do they still try to keep the tie with Singed in Noxus now that we kind of figured it would be okay. Mbessa came in, recruited Singed, so that's how Singed becomes involved in all this crap going on in Ionia. Or maybe we're going back so far, maybe Arcane is so far pre everything, Swain is in the process of invading Ionia, because he doesn't take over Noxus until after he comes back from Ionia. So maybe we do still get the Singed involvement with destroying Ionia with chem weapons. I have no idea. But then it becomes, how did Singed end up in Noxus if Mbessa is no longer involved? Because Mel sure as hell is not bringing him. But anyways,
hey, you know who's from Ionia? That would be really cool to see, but I have no idea how it would tie into the storyline. Jin. Just a show about an Ionian serial killer. Like, just make it happen.
There was a slight fan theory going on that the guy that kicks Loris out of the cannon and ends up shooting the empty Victor bulb. There was a fan theory going on that was actually Jin.
Oh, really?
But it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for his character. But if you remember when Jace, I believe, was giving his council speech, they show that character in an empty amphitheater playing the piano from Awaken, the music video, which is where Jin and Camille fight. And Camille being from Piltover.
Just keep it coming. This is it doesn't fully intended music to my ears.
It doesn't make sense for Jin's character, because Jin's character goes crazy in prison or something, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
And unless somehow this guy ends up in prison afterwards and then goes crazy, I have no idea. But it doesn't make sense for Jin to volunteer to defend a city. That part doesn't really make sense.
Unless it was pre-Jin.
Yeah. Yeah, this could be pre-Jin, and then something happens to turn him into Jin later on. No idea. But
yeah. I just saw a a very early post from apparently like before the show started. The headline is this guy from the Arcane trailer, Jin, and it's Silco.
oh, really?
I guess because of his eye. I don't
Gotcha.
know. But anyways, yeah, I would love to see that story. Swain, Noxus, Ionia, let's go. Let's make it happen.
Yep.
But before we just melt Nick into a pool of just absolutely, I do not care about any of this crazy deep League of Legends lore puddle. Let's wrap this up. Let's get out of here. Nick, what's coming up next for Showboys?
Next on Showboys, I'm taking a season off. And I think you and Dad are doing Severance.
I think you're right.
That's gonna be exciting.
Right. Yeah. Severance
New season
two.
of Severance. Yeah, season 2.
Yep. Season 2.
Gonna recap season 1 for us?
No, because next week will be Severance episode 1 of the podcast. So some time travel is going to be in the works for us currently recording this episode. But by the time this episode releases, Severance episode 1 will be next week. And I hope you guys enjoyed the Showboys What's Watching and What's Playing awards for 2024.
Yeah,
and maybe our gaming goal recap and gaming goals for 2025 episodes. I hope those were bangers.
New Year's was a banger. We all had a wonderful time.
Yeah. Can you guys believe it's already the 14th of January 2025 right now?
Yeah. New Year's Eve was a banger.
Yeah, it's great. Everyone had great Christmases. I hope you guys, listeners, did too as well. After Severance, though, the first half of 2025 is just packed full of really fun stuff at Showboys. Severance season 2 coverage. As soon as that ends, we're gonna be full on Andor. Like, bam! We're gonna recap season 1 for you in like three episodes. We're gonna go through all of season 1 of Andor, and then, man, 12 episodes of Andor season 2.
I'm gonna go rewatch Andor right now.
I don't have a clue what any of these shows are, so
Venom's never seen Star Wars.
Yeah, do you know what Star Wars
the first show was? What the Severance?
Severance. That's an obscure Apple TV show. That's actually really good. If you have Apple TV, you should watch it. But yeah, be looking forward. Subscribe here and subscribe to Pokeboys because things are going on over there. I don't know what's been released at this point, but season 6 either has started or is going to be starting soon, and then season 7, Venom's going to be joining us over there, co-hosting a season. So hope you enjoyed Venom. Yeah. I enjoyed you being here with us. You did great. I don't know if you've ever done this before, but
I have never been on camera before. So
you did.
Whoa.
And
fantastic job.
People terrify me, so this has been an experience for sure.
Yeah, that's why you have to have the disarming Bulbasaur plushies behind you. So.
I have the army of cats.
Who've been very low key this episode.
They have.
They've been very well behaved.
At different points in this episode, I have had 3 different cats on my lap, and I don't think you guys have actually seen any of them. So they've been very, very nice about coming.
And they didn't knock anything over.
I know. It was knocked over when I came in to plug everything in right before the episode, but they have not done it during the episode.
But yeah, no, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a blast. And you did great. Looking forward to Pokeboys with you. And just Nick, we'll see you in...
Keep me down here and Kumino up here.
Nick, we'll see you in March, man.
Yeah,
enjoy your time off.
It's gonna be great. Already enjoying it.
Mhm.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
Mike can't handle time travel. And the winner is
you.
you chosen one. You're the winner.
Yes.
The Vi
Congratulations.
edition comes with an. Never mind. That's for season 2. I'll save that joke for later.
Uh,